Today we're studying quadratics, so when it has this x squared in there, when that's the largest degree term, it's called a quadratic. So we'll refer to that quite often. You don't have to write this down. This is probably something you inherently know. But when two numbers are multiplied together, two factors, we call those, multiplied together to make zero, then one of the factors, either the a or the b, would have to be zero, or both would have to be zero if they multiplied to make zero. That's what makes what we're about to learn about factoring, that's what drives it. That's what makes this work. That's the engine that makes what we're about to do work. And so what we're about to do is take this to another level. So in the past, like we learned how to factor, it's kind of fun. But you're kind of like, well, what do I use factoring for? Well, what we use factoring for is actually for solving equations. So notice the first step, this equation is equal to zero, kind of like these are. So if we factor this, and this is not too bad a factoring here. So as you start with my shell, x and x, factors of 6 to add to 5. 6 and 1, if they're both positive, I know these are both positive, plus and plus. So 6 and 1 don't add up to 7. But 2 and 3 do work, right? So what this theorem says, it says basically if we have two factors that are multiplied to make 0, that either the a value, maybe this thing is equal to 0. So I'm going to set the factor equal to 0 and solve. And so if I do that, I get x equals -2. And that's one of my solutions, right? That's how you get the solutions. Some students get pretty good at this. Instead of actually setting this equal to 0, they can do it in their head. They go, what value makes that parentheses 0? And they just go, oh, x equals -3. That's my other solution here. And so there's two solutions to a quadratic. That's not that surprising. We've seen quadratics where there's two solutions before. In fact, you've probably done that step before. But the reason it works is because, again, either this factor or this factor is equal to 0 if they multiply to make 0. So that's kind of the driving force behind it. So definitely write these steps down. These are the 3 steps about what we're doing today. Set the equation equals 0 first, always, or else our engine doesn't work. We can't solve it if it's not set equals 0. Factor, set each factor equals 0 and solve, right? So the first step on this one, we want to get these over to the other side. So I'm going to add x squared. And I'm going to subtract 5. I'm just going to do 2 steps in one. I hope y'all can handle that. So on the right side, we get 0, which is beautiful. Left side, we have 5x squared minus 14x, I guess minus 3. Okay, so now we have a quadratic. The next step is to factor, right? So let's try to factor this guy. A lot of you maybe like the AC method, so let's do that here. AC would be 5 times -3 is -15. So factors -15, like 1 and 15, maybe 3 and 5, that add up to make -14. Those don't work. If the 15 is negative, I think that actually works. So this would be 1x minus 15x. That's the middle term. The other two terms just kind of come down. Okay, I'm going to group the first two terms, factor by grouping with the plus sign. Sorry, there's a plus sign in the middle. So we get 5x squared plus x and -15x minus 3. Didn't change the sign of anything. Pull out the GCF, that would be x times 5x plus 1 plus, I guess that would be -3 times 5x plus 1. That matches, so we're going to regroup it. So the factoring is x minus 3 times 5x plus 1. And that's a plus right there. So on this one, so that's plus 1. So we have to set each factor equals 0. Well, you might be able to do this one in your head, x equals 3, but this is a lot tougher to do in your head. So let's go ahead and just set it equal to 0. Subtract 1, get 5x equals -1, divide by 5, x equals -1/5. So I get two answers just like I did before. Just takes a bit of work to get those two answers, but that's how you do it. Okay, let's try another one. Set it equals 0. Again, you should probably try this one on your own if you're watching. Stop it, try it. This should be a little easier to factor here. It's an x equals 0. So factor that thing, so it'd be x and x. Factors of negative 24 that add up to 2. So maybe 6 and 4. 6 and 4, that's a 6. Bigger number is positive, so that's plus, that's minus. So x equals negative 6 and x equals 4. I've got my two answers. Set it equals 0 first before we start factoring. Plus 7x minus 15. Again, this is a little tougher. You can do AC. Let's just guess and check this one. Let's try good old-fashioned guess and check. So I'm going to do 2x and x. One of those plus, one of those minus. I don't know which one. I'm going to try some different options here for maybe this is 5 and 3 in some order. I'm not sure which. That's a 3. Maybe it's 15 and 1. So let's try some of those and see if one of those works. So 5 and 3. Let's see, 5x plus 6x. No, that doesn't work. 3x plus 10x. Ooh, that could work. So 3 and 10 could work if one of these is negative, we said, right? So let's see, the bigger number has to be positive. So 10, that's going to be negative. So that'd be 10x minus 3x is 7x. Negative 3 times 5 is negative 15. That works. So our solutions are x equals negative 5. And go ahead and set this one equal to 0. So 2x equals 3. So x equals 3 halves. Use trace. So finally, we're going to just try to solve this on a calculator. So when it's nasty, this one probably doesn't have a nice answer, I'm guessing. So go to your calculator screen. Type in the function on the left, not the equal 0, just the function. So 2x squared minus 5x minus 4. Press enter. It graphs. We're trying to find out where it crosses the x-axis. So menu 5.1 is the graph trace option. If you click left, so I'm literally clicking to the left here a few times, it says the word 0. Looks like that's at negative, if you can see that, it's at negative 0.637. We'll get there in a second. And then if you trace over the other one, menu 5.1, go to the right. So I'm clicking the right arrow. 3.14, very close to pi there is the other one. So we have solutions at x equals negative 0.637 and x equals 3.14. Notice we're finding this is set equal to 0 on the graph. That's equal to 0 there. So we're finding the zeros of the graph. It says the word zeros when you find out what are the x values when the y value is 0 is basically what we're finding. Let's do one more. Make sure you're getting it. So new calculator screen, home, hit the graph icon, tab if you have to, negative 3x squared plus x. I guess I need to add 3 to both sides to get set that equal to 0. So I'm going to say plus 3. Oops. Over here, plus 3. Okay. And it looks like it crosses a couple times there. If you want to hit menu 5.1, go left. Looks like negative 0.847 and 1.18. So 1.18 is x and negative 0.847 x. So there's two solutions. And you want to write it in that form, and you got it. That was a quick lesson. Good.